This is the ABQ Business Podcast
with your host, Jason Rigby.
Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit
That's in every entrepreneur.
discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems,
And the problems we can all solve together.
for a new future for local small business.
What is up, ABQ? Really excited. It's 2020. I know all of you are working your goals. You've got your vision clear, and you're looking at what you can do for your company in 2020. Well, had an amazing email sent to me by a guy by the name, if you guys haven't read any of his books, they're awesome, by Michael Hyatt. And Michael Hyatt, I think it's like michaelhyatt.com, but he sent these 20 questions on leadership. And I started reading them and I was like, wow, this should be a podcast. And you can download the questions. You can go to his website and he has the questions available for download. You have to give him your email and all that. But I want to kind of get right into the questions because I think this is going to help you for this year. It's going to help you look at your leadership, especially if you own a company and you're looking at having the ability to be able to steer your employees in the right direction. And one of the things that he gets into, and I'm going to kind of get into it a little bit heavy today, is in your organization, if you're a leader, maybe you're a middle manager, maybe you don't own a company, but you have 3, 10, 30, 60 people underneath you. It's very important that you understand the mission, the core values, and the vision, and how you present that to others. Not the fission. I made a mistake there. The vision. It's always funny whenever you're recording something and you just record it live. There's no, once you make a mistake, that's it. You have to move on. But his first question, and it caused me to think a lot, actually. And I went back through my life and when I was in the Marine Corps, and I started to look at leadership and what that meant to me in my personal life. But the first question he says, can you name a person who has had a tremendous impact on you as a leader? Maybe someone who has been a mentor to you. Why and how did this person impact your life? I began to think about that. It's like, who did I look up to? And how did they impact me? And then I began to write these people down. And I didn't look at the negative aspect of it because, leaders all let us down because they are human. I mean, we let people down every week probably. But I began to look at these people and the attributes and the things that I respected about them, the things that inspired me about them, and the things that caused me to be a better person and a better leader. And as I began to write these persons down and then filter it through these 3, I got an amazing perspective of what I value in leadership and the things that are important to me when I look at a leader. Because if you're a leader, sometimes you forget that there are people that you wouldn't mind having them lead you because you're leading all the time. So you don't really have somebody that can lead you, somebody that can coach you. But there are certain things you're going to find out that's really important to you. Maybe it's having a servant's heart. Maybe it's having the ability to articulate a clear vision. Maybe it's having the ability to execute on the mission properly. And we're going to get into those. But I encourage you to do that. Take people that you've known that you really respect and that you love and that were great leaders in your life and write those things down and find out. It's going to help you in your leadership for 2020. Number 2 question, what are the most important decisions you make as a leader of your organization? There's no wrong answers with these. Everybody's going to be different. For me in 2020, one of the things that I'm looking at is making sure that I have compound interest and that I'm working and doing the things that I need to do and accomplish. And if I don't feel like it, daily, 7 days a week, what do I need to accomplish so that at the end of the year, I have had all this compound interest. And what I would normally do 1, 2, 3 times a week, I'm doing it 7 days a week. So what does that look like? Even if they're little tiny things that take me 5-10 minutes, because I know it's going to build over time. But that's the important decisions that I'm making as a leader. But I don't know what it is for you. That's something you're going to have to look at. What's the most important decision? I think it just brings clarity in your life. Number 3, as an organization gets larger, there can be a tendency for the institution to dampen the inspiration. How do you keep this from happening? Oh, I've seen this so many times in business. I've gone in and consulted, and I can see that switch from going from $500,000 dollar company to a $5 million company, and just to watch the corporate style, those people that helped you found it, a lot of them are gone now. Maybe you have a few that are left, and now you're able to, have a larger salary, so you're able to bring these people in. So you lose the whole culture, and now it's become this corporate thing, and you're going in and out, punching a clock, or maybe you're not there as much as you used to be, which is fine. That's perfect. But that culture of a startup, that culture of being family is gone. And it's Easy Institute, and I'll do a podcast on that. There's a lot of things you can do, taking people out to lunch, making that an effort to be able to take an employee, maybe like a mid-manager or somebody like that, take them out to lunch, have them ask you questions, tell them ahead of time, say, hey, I'd love to take you out to lunch. I want you to be honest with me and ask me some questions. And some of the things I want you to help me to be able to cast the vision for 2020. And I want you to be able to help me to implement this into the business. And I want to share some things with you, maybe some weaknesses that I've been dealing with and some things that I think that you can come alongside of me and help me deal with that, in the organization. So that was a great question. How do you keep this from happening? And that's something that I was looking at. And even in, when I consult, I look at that and it's like, I never looked at it as like how you keep it from happening. I always looked at it as noticing it and then bringing attention to it and awareness to it, and then allowing that, allowing the leader to be able to create their way out of it. But prevention is huge. Maybe it is taking somebody out to lunch. Maybe it is making sure that you have a birthday cake every month and you honor everybody that's in your organization with birthdays, and, give them a free day off, for their birthday, whatever it may be. But that is a huge question, because we get so caught up in the 9 to 5, we get so caught up in seeing the same people every day over and over again that we forget to, as a visionary leader, we forget to make sure that we keep the family and the culture intact with that. Let's move on. Next question, number 4. How do you encourage creative thinking within your organization? Oh, Lord. Listen to that one. How do you encourage creative thinking within your organization? I had to think about that one for a while. Because your most creative people are the ones that you probably get aggravated at the most. They are horrific at executing. They're not very good at time management. They're the ones that are always late. We've all done the ENFPs and the INTJs, all that, the sanguine, melancholy, choleric. We've done all the tests. We know where exactly our employees are. And if you haven't done that, that's a great way to establish cultures. Have everybody take, there's tons of them free online. Have everybody take them and then talk about it, in a circle, and go through and look at everybody's strengths and weaknesses, have them talk about it openly. That's amazing, especially if you have a group of managers. You can go to breakfast or something like that, have them take the test and then bring it, print it out and bring it and then talk about it to each other. You'll get a lot of insight with that. But how do you encourage creative thinking? Because creative people sometimes need time alone. They need that ability to be able to not be fearful, because a lot of them can be fearful in expressing their crazy ideas. But that's where you get the out of the box thinking. Steve Jobs is really good at that. There's a lot of negative press with him, but there's a lot of good things about how he took the ability to take people and to inspire them enough to be open about how creative they want to be, no matter how crazy it is. There's a lot of books on that, but how do you encourage creative thinking within your organization? Answer that question. That'll help you tremendously. Number 5, where did the great ideas come from in your organization? I not only did I put where, because where is really important, but I put who are they coming from, and then do I view that person as valuable as I think they are? If they're showing up late all the time, that's a conversation you can have with them, but should I adjust their hours? Maybe that's an issue. Maybe they would rather work from 11 to 5 and then work 2 or 3 hours late at night when they're most creative at home. These are questions that you have to ask. And when you look at where your ideas are coming from, maybe it's not the HR department. Maybe it's on the floor. I've seen numerous occasions where lower level, if you want to call that, I hate to call people that, but like janitors and stuff like that, or people that stock the warehouse, they come up with these amazing ideas that can save hundreds of thousands of dollars. So where did the great ideas come from in your organization? Number 6, which is most important to your organization? Mission, core values, or vision? I'm going to stay on this one a little bit, and I want us to get into this and some of the questions asked around this. Which is most important to your organization? Mission, core values, or vision? And as a leader, you have to, work on your strengths. Some of you are very mission oriented. When I was in the Marine Corps, it was that way. Everything was about the mission and how you execute it flawlessly, how we have risk management and how we prevent accidents from happening. And with Humvees, with helicopters, worse is having someone actually, friendly fire, all that, blue on blue, all those things are important when it comes to the mission. And maybe that's you. Maybe you're that type of person. Maybe you love looking at spreadsheets and you're a numbers person and you can go through the data and see where you're missing out on the mission. Maybe you're a core values type person. A lot of companies are established on core values. And when you're hiring, you look at people with core values. You look at people, that are honest and transparent and, that give to society and have this ability to be able to help not-for-profits. And, it's something that is in your culture is to have these core values and then run your company that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. Whether you're mission-oriented or whether you are core value-oriented, it doesn't matter. If those are your strengths, you need to run with those. Don't try to be a mission person if you're a core value leader. It's going to get you in a way that is going to cause you to be misaligned, and it's going to cause you not to be authentic, and your employees are going to see that. And then third is the vision. Maybe you're a vision leader, and that's what I am. I love to look to the future. I don't want to look at the mission. I have issues with executing core values. I'm just like, hey, here's what it can be. Here's how exciting it can be. Here's where we're going to go. If everybody does this, this, and this, it's going to be amazing. And all of us are going to, be a part of this huge transformational, and vision is that way. And that's awesome. And we want to have that, but the vision has to be the focus. And then from there, you have to be able to have people that are around you that can execute on that vision, that can bring core values into that so that you don't, I've seen people say, oh, okay, this is the leader's vision. Well, how can we get there as quick as we can? Well, that's a horrific question because now you're taking shortcuts, you have short-term thinking, you're looking at maybe even doing something that if you don't have core values that may be unethical to get to that vision, to be able to say, look what I did, leader, I did this for you. And then you find out later that the way that they got there was horrific. So if you are a leader and you're mission oriented, write that out. If it's most important to you, make that extremely clear to your employees what that means to you. If you're a core value leader and you don't have your core values clearly articulated on a wall in your business, then you're missing out tremendously in being able to lead effectively and to let them know what's important to them. And then vision. If you're a vision leader, you've got to make sure that you're speaking vision constantly, every day. And then when you coach, you have to bring people in to coach them according to the vision. And you've got to make sure that you have people around you that can reel in that vision and articulate it in a way that creates stability in the organization. And that's really important. So mission, core values, vision, which leader are you in that? Number 7, how do you or other leaders in your organization communicate the core values? If you're a core value leader, that's easy. You've got that. But if you're not, like for me, a vision leader, I need to have core values because that brings the stability to the organization. And that is that compass that guides them into that perfect north where they need to go. Because if I don't have core values, like I said before, then we can have a Lehman Brothers or something like that, where it's just all about the numbers and all about getting to the next level and here's where we go. And we're going to use cheat codes in every which way we can do that to win the game. Number 8, how do you encourage others in your organization to communicate the core values? And then number 9, do you set aside specific times to cast vision to your employees and other leaders? If you struggle with vision, and I had talked about that earlier on another podcast, a couple podcasts ago about vision. If you struggle with vision, and this is something that's my strength with this, if you struggle with vision, number one thing you can do is take time alone and cast a vision for 2020. What does that mean? You've got to get extremely clear on what you want to accomplish and how you're going to do that. And I had shared with you before, you've got to come up with the how, the when, the where, the why. It's, everything's all about why. And I love that Simon Sinek book about why we do what we do. And that's really important. That helps vision. But you have to understand not just why are we doing, but how are we doing it? When are we going to accomplish this vision? Is this a today vision? Is it a year from now? Is it 10 years from now? And then from there, especially when it comes to vision, you have to be able to take people one-on-one and share that vision directly with them, and then personalize the vision to their strengths. So if you have an accountant, you've got to show them the reason why they need to get to where they need to get number-wise so that they can complete the vision. Not just for profit, I'm just saying for them, for their family, what it's going to look like. Maybe they'll be able to, if we get here with these numbers, because my vision is here, then we're going to be able to hire you an assistant. And what that looks like for you is this, this, and this. And then maybe you're a marketing person, but I want to eventually, if we get to the vision here, I can make you chief marketing officer or marketing director. And then from there, we can hire people below you in these menial tasks that you're doing. They can turn around and then you can delegate to others and have other people. And then we can learn from there and move on. So it's really important that it's extremely personal. Take the time to work on your business, not in your business. And I had a whole podcast on systems on that you can listen to. Number 10, how do you ensure your organization and its activities are aligned with your core values? You've got to look at that. What are they doing? What are you saying? When you walk in the door at 7 in the morning or 10 in the morning, whenever you come into your business, the words that you're saying, are you talking about how horrible of a night you had and you're angry at your wife or your husband or partner or whatever it may be? Is that aligning with your core values? Are you walking in the door saying, okay, I'm going to take this core value today that we have, and I'm going to articulate to everyone that's in the organization? And then number 11, how do you help a new employee understand the culture of your organization? I think this is one of the biggest things. When I go into a business, I'll ask them what their onboarding is. And when they hire a new employee, and then a lot of them's like, we do a lot of on-the-job training. That just means you're being lazy and you're not understanding that that person is an actual person that needs a purpose in their job that's bigger than them or the tasks that you have them to do. Because if you just hire somebody and then allow somebody else to train them, one, you don't know what's being said or being trained. Number two, the biggest deal is here, you're saying, I don't value you very much enough to be able to do some coaching with you, maybe 3 times in 3 weeks to kind of bring you along in the organization. I'm going to spend 15 minutes with you, 30 minutes, whatever it may be, and I'm going to teach you these core values. I know a CEO that does that. He has hundreds of employees, but he takes the time to understand who that person is and gets to know them personally one-on-one, no matter who it is as an employee. And he turns around and does coaching with them and helps with the onboarding. And I think when we look at people and we look at hiring somebody, we look at them saying, whew, I got that position filled. And now I don't have to worry about this because so-and-so can handle that. But really, it could be a Jim, a Bob, a Susan. It doesn't matter. And so you're looking at them as a widget or a machine instead of an actual person. So how do you display the culture of your organization, whatever it may be? I think a lot of times when we look at culture, we want to look at culture and we'll even go to Google and type in great cultures of organizations and we read books about that. And then we just cookie cut it and put it into existence. What I like to do is take your leaders, or if you're a small business, take your employees and ask them what the culture is. Ask them what a perfect work environment would be and have this conversation and then build culture around the employees that you have and what they love and what you love. And have that beautiful dialogue one-on-one with them. Also have the meeting before the meetings. And build your culture that way around your team, not just you and some cookie cutter thing because you want to be like Google or Netflix or someone. Number 12, when faced with 2 equally qualified candidates, how do you determine whom to hire? I know so many people that I'll talk to them, even HR people, I'll talk to them, and they're like, I just go with my gut. And that's good. I got that. Maybe you have really strong intuition, your sanguine type personality or whatever it may be. But you have to look at people and say, these two people on paper look good. Let me go through their Facebook. Let me go through their Instagram. Let me do a little bit of research. Let me see if they'll fit in our culture. If they're two equally, they have the same degrees, they have the same qualifications, what's going to line up with our core values? What's going to line up with our culture? Maybe they like skateboarding and they're very casual and they're extremely creative. And maybe that's what you're looking for in your organization compared to somebody that's, wearing a suit and tie and goes to board meetings. You know what I'm saying? That person's not going to fit in your organization if your culture is totally different. I was at Snapchat headquarters here recently, and from the CEO on down, they all had tennis shoes on. From the CEO on down, it was all extremely laid back. They had kegs there, and they had kombucha, and everything looked like Chipotle inside, where it was just plain wood, very simple. If you had somebody in there that wore starched white shirts and wore a tie all the time and was trying to call people into meetings in every 15 minutes increments, that person's not going to fit in the organization, no matter how smart they are, unless they can adjust and they're flexible and they can adapt to that. But at the end of the day, they're looking for extremely creative people to be cutting edge and to move in that direction. And so that whole culture in and of itself dictates who they're going to hire. And I think that's really important. So if you have two equally qualified people, how do you determine whom to hire? Great question to answer. Number 13, what is one characteristic that you believe every leader should possess? Like I said, I'm getting these questions from Michael Hyatt. These are not me. And I want you guys, if you guys want to get these questions and review them, you can get a 2-page PDF if you go to Michael Hyatt's website. What is one characteristic that you believe every leader should possess? And this is going to be a different answer for every single one of you. Some of you may want tenacity. Some of you may want the ability to articulate a vision. Some of you may want flexibility, hard work. Whatever it is, you need to answer that question. And then next question is, what is the biggest challenge facing leaders today? This is going to help you. Because in reality, when you look at this, when you see other people and the challenges that they're facing, I had somebody talking the other day against Donald Trump, and then I've had people talk against Hillary Clinton, so it doesn't matter whether you're Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. But some of the things that they were talking about, the strengths and weaknesses, I asked them this question. I said, how do you see yourself in those? And they're like, what? I'm not anything like him or her. And I'm like, we all are. Our ego is sometimes a reflection of our mirrors of the things that we hate. So when we see somebody and we despise somebody and we get so angry at something, it's that weakness that we have inside of us that if we were put in that position, we would probably act out in the same way. So the biggest challenges facing in leaders today, when you answer that question, it's going to reveal a lot about you and some of the challenges you may be facing in your organization as a leader. And I always do the 1 to 10s. I love that. So when I look at my leadership, I'm like 1 to 10, where should I be at? And okay, I'm a 4 here, I'm a 5 here, I'm an 8 here. So when you write out the biggest challenges facing leaders today, go back and then grade yourself 1 to 10 where you're at in that. Great question. Number 15, what is one mistake you witness leaders making more frequently than others? This is the same thing. Introspective on who you are as a leader. When I look at mistakes that I make, sometimes I can be short. Sometimes I don't articulate very well because I have so many tasks and so many things going on. I won't sit down or, like one of the things I'm working on is making eye contact with somebody. Or if I'm having an important meeting, making sure that I tell the secretary to hold the calls, shut the door, cut my music off, make sure I don't look at my emails, I don't check my phone, and show that other person how important they are by me giving my undivided attention for 10, 15 minutes. And so that's a mistake that I have, because if I'm distracted and they're trying to get a point across to me or share something honest or truthful to me and I'm dismissing it because I view the text that's on my phone as way more important than that person sitting in front of me, then I'm failing as a leader. So that was a really good question. What is one mistake you witness leaders making more frequently than others? Number 16, what is the one behavior or trait that you have seen derail more leaders' careers? I've seen So many leaders self-sabotage themselves because they don't feel like they're worthy enough to handle. They were cool when their company had 10 employees, but when it got to 100 employees, I'm not this type of leader. So instead of grinding it out in the sense of saying, how can I be a better leader? Because all it is just taught. It's just learning, going through the process. You can become an amazing leader just by studying and taking the time and saying, I'm not going to work on my business, I'm going to work on leadership. And how does that look? And then I'm going to transition from delegating and, working on my business, not working in it. And then number 17, can you explain the impact, if any, that social networking and the web have made on your organization or you personally? That was a big check for me because social media is such a huge part of what I do, especially in the digital marketing side of thing and consulting. But when I looked at me personally, and Apple does that thing where it checks your time, how much you're on social media, and I have to be on social media a lot. I get that, but how intentional am I on it? What am I looking at? Is it making me a better person, or am I escaping something? Because I don't want to deal with the issue that's at hand. So the quickest thing for me to do is to grab my phone and hop on Instagram or go on Twitter and read the news, whatever it may be. View the impact of that. And then I looked at it as like, what is that impact on your organization? If you're a travel agent, you know what the web did to you. How do you adapt to that? How flexible are you? Blockbuster could have became Netflix, but they didn't adapt, right? Number 18, what are a few resources you would recommend to someone looking to gain insight into becoming a better leader? I looked at that and I was like, what books? What things could, what great books? And then I thought, maybe I should go through those books again and look at the highlights that I did in them, or maybe I should reread some of these books. If these impacted me so much the first time, now that I've grown as a leader, maybe different things will come out of that I can see, or maybe I need a refresher course in the things because it impacted me. So why did it? Number 19, what advice would you give someone going into a leader position for the first time? You need to write this out and then keep this when you have a new leader in your organization and you want to coach them. You've got to take the time to coach your new leaders. If you're not doing that, you're hurting your organization. That should be your main focus, is coaching new leaders and coaching the leaders that are around you. If you have managers in positions and you speak to them really quickly, or all you do is have a meeting where you're going over tasks and to-dos, and you haven't set them aside and said, hey, Bill, how's it going? I know you've been working on your golf swing, or I know you play handball. How's that going? Or, how's Susan, your wife, doing, and the kids? And then, hey, what are you doing? Let's go out for, let's go have, I know you like IPAs. Let's go to Marble Brewing Company and have a couple IPAs and let's talk about everything but the organization. And spend time with your leaders. Ask them what they're struggling with. You'll be surprised how many people will be honest with you if you ask them that. And then when they share what they're struggling with, you come back to them with the things that they're doing amazing at. And watch how that conversation happens. And then number 20, final question. What are you doing to ensure you continue to grow and develop as a leader? This is the best question. What are you doing? Are you just showing up every day and working in your business and putting out fires as a fireman, just running around and that's all you're doing, and then you're just exhausted at the end of the day? Or are you saying the number one priority is myself first? Because if I'm not at a 10, how can I expect employees around me to be at a 10? Maybe these fires that I have all around me, it's because I haven't took the time to take a 5 or a 6 employee and bring them to an 8 or a 9. Maybe the fire wouldn't happen. That customer complaint probably wouldn't happen if I had empowered my employees to do what I need them to do according to the core values and the vision that I have and the mission to accomplish this. You'll be surprised how creative your employees are when you give them the freedom to be able to act. All you have to do is steer them in the direction of where you want them to go. Make the mission clear, put out those stepping stones of the core values that they can follow, and then cast the vision. What you want to accomplish and why, and how you're going to do it, and what the importance of that vision is, and how it's going to impact each and every one of their lives by doing that. What are you doing to ensure you continue to grow and develop as a leader? That question hit me really hard, and I began to really look at it and say, I've slipped on, I read leadership books all the time, And I've been slipping on that here lately. Your Apple, the iBooks that I read from in my Kindle, I have both, but they give you like a tracking time of how often you're reading. And I'm like, am I really doing what I should be doing in working and developing? Because that's the best thing I can do. Either watch YouTube videos on leadership or people that I subscribe to, listen to podcasts, and reading. Those are things that work great for me personally, is to take the time to say, okay, I'm not going to watch the new show Witcher, or I'll watch one episode. I'm not going to binge watch it. And instead, I'm going to turn around, or I'll take a break and I'm going to do a little bit of reading, drink a glass of wine or some coffee in the morning, and then journal about what I'm reading. How do you grow? And then what works best for you personally as a leader? Maybe it's going to conferences. Maybe that's what you love. It's that idea of traveling and going to a leadership conference and immersing yourself for 2 or 3 days. Maybe that's the way you grow. Maybe you're an introvert and like I said, you like to stay at home and read, and you need to cut your phone off and spend a half a day. Maybe you can't do a whole day, so take a half a day. Cut your phone off. Cut everything off. Make sure you're not on your computer. No emails, no nothing. Sit down with a good book, a leadership book, and listen to it. And I encourage you, and I'm going to give you some books real quick. Mission, nothing better than Jocko Willink. I love that guy. He was a Navy SEAL. He's got multiple books out now. If you look that up, Extreme Ownership is probably the one that has steered me in the direction more than any book. If you're looking at core values, Zappos, that guy has an amazing book about culture. There's a ton of them on there. And if you're looking at vision, anything with John Maxwell for leadership. He's older now, but his podcasts and his books, he's probably got, 50 leadership books out now. And every time I read them, I'm always amazed about how he maneuvers himself to cast vision in every aspect of the organization. And those are just a few. I have a ton of them on my website under resources. And every week we're adding new books on there, maybe ones that I've read. And I'll do more book reviews. I did one on the 12-week year because I know it's a new year. But these questions were great. Like I said, I got them from Michael Hyatt. So I want to give him the credit on these. And you can download them. And then from there, from that PDF, then you can sit down with those questions and take the time to answer them. And I encourage you guys to do that. Thank you guys. If you guys have any concerns, questions, maybe you want to know something, I put that out there on Instagram the other day. I was like, what do you guys want me to talk about? I'm going to do a whole question and answer. I've been getting those in, and I thank you guys for that. But if you have questions and you want to have basically free consulting in your organization, maybe you have a problem with an employee, maybe you have an HR issue, maybe you have a systems issue, leadership, whatever it may be, ask that question, because I'm going to go through, and I want to do at least once a month, I want to do Q&As and bring your questions, especially if they relate to Albuquerque. That's even better. I'm in businesses every week. I'm seeing what's going on in the community, and I want to be able to help you guys as much as I can and provide a ton of value. That's my mission, and my core values are to provide way more value than I ask in return for, whether it's consulting fees or whatever it may be. And then vision. My vision is to see Albuquerque businesses flourish, to see them grow, and to see this city reputation turn into what it can be, and how the culture that's been here forever, the amazing parts of the culture, seeing that transform. And whenever prosperity comes to the city, whenever businesses are flourishing, whenever they're aligned with what they're doing and you have proper leadership in the city, guess what? It's going to be an amazing place to live. Weather's already amazing. We don't have very many natural disasters. I'm telling you, this is an amazing city to live in, an amazing time. You know why? Because we're in that frontier stage of watching this city grow to the point to where it can impact the West. And we're really the only city. I've shared that before. And, Denver's done, California's done, Portland is done, Seattle, all those areas are done on the West if you really look at it. I mean, then you got Wyoming and stuff like that. But Albuquerque is really, truly that hub right now that has the ability of tremendous growth. And if you have a small business, you have the ability to grow with the city. And that's the amazing part. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. Love you guys. If you have any questions, like I said, You can follow me on all the social media. It's ABQ Jason Rigby. Please go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. I put a lot of videos out there also. You can just type in Jason Rigby or Albuquerque Business Podcast and you'll be able to see that. But hope you guys have a great evening.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast.
And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com.
Make sure to subscribe and share and go to abqpodcast.com.
Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur
And business owner.